I played basketball for 20 years. That's over 7,000 days, 10,000 hours, and countless shots. And let me tell you, what I've learned will surprise you. From the biggest mistakes I made early on to the lessons that completely changed how I play and live, this journey has been nothing like I expected. If you're someone chasing your basketball dreams or just trying to be the best version of yourself, this video could save you years of frustration. Let's break it all down. From an early age, I realized I loved basketball. There was just something about the sport. And this is where that first lesson comes in. I would want to, after school, I would go play. Before school, I'd want to play. During lunch, I would play. When it's nighttime outside and I still want to go play. There was never a time I didn't want to play basketball. And if I wasn't playing, I was playing NBA 2K. I was playing imaginary basketball with my cousins inside. I was doing something related to basketball 24/7. And that leads to results naturally, right? When you do something enough, you're naturally going to find results in that. And that was my life story. I loved basketball so much that it became who I am. And it took me to places where I couldn't imagine. Basketball is a part of who I am and part of who I am today. And for that reason, I wanted to do it all the time. And when a lot of times athletes come to me and say, hey, like, what's the number one thing I can do to improve? And it's put the time in, enjoy what you do, right? So the first lesson that I would recommend to anybody is to make sure you're passionate about what you're doing, because if you want to find results in anything, you have to really love what you're doing. As I got older, the game got tougher. The competition got better, and so did the pressure. My goals of making the NBA or playing professionally or playing in college had to come with the same amount of pressure. So that being said, I remember my grade 12 year, after putting in a whole summer of work and working relentlessly, I ended up breaking my leg. And that was, to me at that time, was the worst thing in the world. I was crying and I was upset. I was like, all this work I put in, what a waste of time. And I thought there was nothing good that was going to come out of it, right? But that's when basketball taught me resilience, and that everything really stems from the mind. One of the biggest lessons I learned during that phase was failure is inevitable. Every single great player, great person on this earth has failed, but growth is optional, right? And what I mean by that is that how will you respond to challenges? And so many athletes that I come across may be great athletes, may be great naturally, they have ability, but they're not willing to go through the hardships of improvement. And that's something that I learned through basketball, resiliency. In any part of my life today, I can thank to basketball, because it gives me that mental ability to keep pushing forward, not knowing the results, but still trusting the process. And basketball really taught me that through a lot of hardship, but because I loved it, I continued to go through it. And that's a huge lesson to learn, is that if you love something truly, you will continue to pursue it regardless of the outcome, because you love the process, not the end result. After those years of hardship, I did, thanks to God, get the opportunity to play college basketball. And this was a life-changing experience. It was everything I ever dreamed of. All the hard work had finally paid off. But of course, when you get to that pinnacle, the next pinnacle is, okay, I want to go to a better league, or I want to try to play professional, or whatever the case may be. So one of the biggest realizations I had in that moment was the journey along the way is far more important than the destination. When I was younger, I was so focused on making it to the next level, whether it was varsity, college, or professional, that I sometimes forgot to enjoy the game itself. The whole reason I started playing basketball was for the love of the game. It was not to flex that I'm a college player or play professional or whatever the case may be, or it wasn't even about money. And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, the one thing that I would say is that don't let pressure of your goals and things you want to accomplish steal your joy. Enjoy the game. And all young players watching this video, make sure that you enjoy the game every single practice, every single sprint, every single weight training session, every single aspect of the game. Enjoy, because it's temporary. I still find myself learning new things till this day when I'm teaching younger athletes or whatever the case may be. So always be a student of the game, as well as always find joy in the process. Don't always look forward to the end result, and stick with what you love. If we get into the nitty-gritty side of basketball, the biggest thing that I would change in my training and how I develop myself is that I would focus more on a role, which sounds funny to say, but when I was growing up, it was always, if I can beat this guy one-on-one, or if I can do the coolest move, I'm the best player, which isn't necessarily true if you want to play at the highest level. Look at guys like Duncan Robinson, JJ Redick, these type of guys who have mastered a role and get paid millions of dollars. So again, define what your definition of success is. If you want to play at the highest level, 99% of players have to master a role. whether that's a spot up shooter, whether you're a 3 and D, whether you're a playmaker, whatever the case may be, you have to master a role. And that's what I didn't do. I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be, I was mediocre at everything. I wasn't great at anything. And I think that took away from my greatness. I think if I tried to perfect one thing and then build around that, I would have been able to play at a much higher level. Because I was putting in the time, there just wasn't the right level of guidance for me. And if I was advising anybody technically speaking in basketball, I would say master one part of the game, try to sell that to coaches, sell that to the teams that you're interested in, and you'll find yourself with a good opportunity. I wish someone taught me this earlier, but one of the best ways to learn is struggle. Make sure you play against the best players possible and you constantly lose. It's okay to lose. It's okay to feel like you're not the best player, because that's what's ultimately going to make you the best player, that competitive drive. There's so many players that I come across where they lose and they feel like they want to quit, or they feel like, oh, this is too hard. That's the opposite of how you should be thinking. The only reason I had any success is because I had a mentor, Zach Marcelin, if he's watching. We played one-on-one for an entire summer. He was in college, I was like grade 10. And I don't think I scored a point the entire summer. I went one whole summer. He probably had 1,200 points that summer. And I'm not exaggerating, I think I had one basket the whole summer, something like that. Because he was just way stronger, way faster, everything. Obviously, he's a college player. But when I went back that next year and I played against people my age, it felt like I was playing against people 4 years younger, right? But again, if I went that first day, lost 11-0 and was like, oh, I'm not coming back, I wouldn't have reached those levels that I reached. So one of the most important things you can do for yourself is struggle. Go through the struggle without complaining, without wanting to quit, and keep putting in the work. And that's the hardest part of the game. The hardest part of the game is going through struggle, being relentless, being uncomfortable, and still pushing through. And there's a lot of people who talk about this, and a lot of people find it corny. But truthfully, that's the secret, right? Just keep doing what you love and try to do it at the highest level possible. So there you have it, 20 years of basketball knowledge boiled down into some of my biggest lessons I've learned. I hope this resonates with you, whether you're a player, a coach, or just someone who loves the game. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more basketball content. And let me know in the comments, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from basketball? And I want to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the court.